Oh, sorry about that. We needed to adjust a few things. Anyways, welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. For those of you that will watch this clip later, do know that we've had a false start to today's live session. I didn't have my microphone right in place. But I hope you're having a wonderful start to the weekend. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back from all that action in the midweek action, of course, in the Premier League kicking off yesterday. So today we're going to be looking at match day 25 of the Premier League. That's for the 2024-2025 Premier League season. Plenty of action to come your way between Saturday and Sunday, but that match day 25 did kick off on Friday night as Brighton and Hove Albion humbled Chelsea. Yes, beating Chelsea for the second time in a row, having beaten them over last weekend and knocking them out of the FA Cup in that 2-1 victory. Yesterday they did it again at the Amex Stadium as they beat them by 3-0 in a game in which Chelsea dominated possession, but they had nothing to show for it because they had majority possession of about 70%, while Brighton only had 30%. Nonetheless, they could only manage 8 shots. That's for Chelsea, while it was 13 for Brighton. None of Chelsea's shots were on target, while Brighton had 5 and ended up scoring at least 3 of those. Of course, Brighton opened the scoring in a spectacular style through Kaoru Mitoma, who did. I mean, that goal is as exquisite, as sweet as a Premier League goal comes. It had all the hallmarks or the reminders of Dimitar Berbatov controlling the ball. It had all the hallmarks of Dennis Bergkamp controlling the ball. For those of you that have followed the Premier League for quite a bit of time, so it was a very, very interesting goal. But Verbruggen, that's the Brighton and Hove goalkeeper, does play a long ball, which Kaoru Mitoma, controls in spectacular style. Hi, Duncan. Thank you for joining the live edition. So he controls that ball in spectacular style, beats Trevor Chalobah, and slots that ball into the back of the net. Very, very decent goal that he did score to give Brighton and Hove Albion the lead. While Yankuba Menti scored, that was in the 38th minute. Kaoru Mitoma's goal did come in the 27th minute. So Yankuba Menti did score in the 38th minute to double Brighton and Hove Albion's lead, with Danny Welbeck providing that one. And of course, in the second half, it was Yankuba again on target with Danny Welbeck providing the assist. Of course, Chelsea had a bit of clumsy defending in the lead up to those 2 goals. But I take nothing away from the shine of Brighton and Hove Albion because I thought they were quite efficient on the day as they beat up against Chelsea by 3-0. But action does continue today again with the early kickoff coming at 3:30 p.m. That's East African time, or 15:30 for those that read the 24-hour clock, when Leicester City entertain Arsenal. Now, this is a very interesting fixture. One I thought that Arsenal were very clumsy on in the first leg, but we'll get to look at that a little bit in just a bit. But let me just take you through all the fixtures that will be coming your way up during the course of the weekend. So, yes, Prince, thank you for joining in. And then, so at 6:30 p.m., Aston Villa will be up against Ipswich Town, while Fulham will entertain Nottingham Forest. Still at the same time, now this is a very big game that I do think you shouldn't miss out on if you're a Premier League fan. Manchester City will be at the Etihad Stadium to entertain Newcastle, while Southampton will be at home against Bournemouth. West Ham United will welcome Brentford in that London derby, while Crystal Palace will be at Selhurst Park to entertain Everton. That is at 8:30 p.m. East African time. And then on Super Sunday at 5 p.m., Liverpool, that's the table leaders, will welcome Wolverhampton Wanderers, a team they've beaten, I think, 9 out of 10 times they've hosted them at Anfield. So clearly, the odds are all in Liverpool's favor, who will be very desperate to recover from that late equalizer against Everton in the Merseyside derby during the course of midweek. So I do think it will be a very entertaining game. And then match day 25 will close down with the fixture between Tottenham Hotspurs and Manchester United. That is at 7:30 p.m. On Super Sunday. And then, of course, in the mid of the week, we'll have another fixture. I think on Wednesday when Aston Villa entertain Liverpool, and then Leicester City will be up against Brentford. That will be on Friday. So for now, let's concentrate on the on this weekend's fixtures or engagements, where, like I said, Leicester City are coming up in the early kickoff against Arsenal. Now, they do come up against Arsenal that is very troubled with injuries at the moment. We all know about Kai Havertz's season-ending injury. That's a torn hamstring, for which the club did come out to confirm that he will be undergoing surgery, and then he will start rehabilitation that will go through, including the prep for next season, that is pre-season. So that means he misses the rest of the season through injury, and he will be looking to prepare himself to be back next season, that is 2025-2026. A very big miss for Arsenal, I do think, and I think for those of the Arsenal fans that do not sort of hold Kai Havertz in high regard are going to now witness how important a player he is been, especially during his absence. For those of you that again follow us religiously, you do remember when we were having about discussions about Arsenal on the things that would forbid them from winning any pieces of silverware this season. And we talked about Arsenal lacking a number 9. We talked about Arsenal lacking a direct replacement for Martin Odegaard, and we also how they did struggle to create chances when Martin Odegaard was absent for 2 months through that ankle injury that he did suffer in the course of the season. And then Bukayo Saka didn't have a direct cover. Again, that has accosted him ever since he got injured on the 21st of December, and reports do suggest that he'll be back somewhere either possibly in mid-March at the earliest. So that is the expectation that we are having, or that's the news that we are getting out of London Colony. And then, of course, to add to Kai Havertz, of course, like I mentioned, Bukayo Saka, Takahiro Tomiyasu is under consideration for a second knee surgery. Again, another player that has suffered through injury, I think all across the season. If I'm not mistaken, he's barely had 45 minutes of game time for Arsenal this season. And then Gabriel Martinelli, he did suffer an injury in their 2-0 loss to Newcastle in the return leg of the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, as Arsenal lost that, that fixture on a 4-0 aggregate. That's over 2 legs, as Newcastle proceeded to Wembley, where they will be playing Liverpool in the finals of the Carabao Cup. And then, of course, Gabriel Jesus, we all know that he tore his ACL, that's the anterior cruciate ligaments, and he did undergo surgery and is ruled out for the rest of the season. So these are all season-ending injuries for Kai Havertz, for Gabriel Jesus, while it's been a long spell out for Bukayo Saka. It was a long spell out of 2 months for Martin Odegaard. It's a long spell out for Gabriel Martinelli. That's up to a month or so. And then we all know about Ben White, who, by the way, has since returned. He will be in the matchday squad for this particular fixture this weekend. I think that's the the silver lining in a dark cloud at Arsenal, that Ben White does return for this particular fixture after being out for a very long time. He did undergo a knee surgery. Then that is through injury. So over the course of this season, Arsenal struggled with injury. Just a couple of weeks back, William Saliba had been out. We all know about Ricardo Calafiori's troubles and all that kind of thing. So the fixture does to come early for all those players that we've mentioned, but it begs the question of how Mikel Arteta will cope with these injuries. Now, he did come out to say that because he was being asked whether they are looking to sign any free agent striker out there that could help Arsenal see off the season in the absence of all their strikers, and he said he will have to find solutions internally. For me, I do think he's just being stubborn. That's how I view it. He's trying to be stubborn in what sense? Yes, it is good to find solutions internally, but also he's trying to show, I get the feeling that he's trying to show his bosses that, look, guys, I was right about this, We did not make a signing in January as I had hoped or as we had planned it would be the case, and look how it's going to cost us. Should it cost them anyway? I do think 100% certain that it will cost them. Of course, when he says he needs to find solutions internally, is that they'll have to look for goals from elsewhere within that squad. Of course, the available players that can play as a false nine or in that role is Leandro Trossard, Raheem Sterling, and Ethan Nwaneri. But remember, he does not have his two best wingers in Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. Those are equally all out with injury. So that means that he has to fill that front three regardless, and then they play in a rotational format where they can keep on switching positions depending on what phase of the game they find themselves in or what they feel suits them at a particular moment in the game. So you'll have Raheem Sterling coming off the left, and then Ethan Nwaneri coming off the right, and then Leandro Trossard leading that attacking wall. Like I did mention when we were speaking about the injury of Kai Havertz and him being out for the rest of the season, we spoke about Leandro Trossard's weaknesses and strengths and how he prefers to play that number 10 role as opposed to being the main striker. So again, you will have to step up for this particular one and do the magic for Arsenal if they are to get a result that is against Leicester City this weekend. Leicester City themselves do have their injury concerns to deal with, like Ricardo Pereira, Jamie Vardy is a doubt, as well as Yannick Vestergaard, and some of those players that could potentially miss this particular fixture. The first leg between the two sides ended in a 4-2 victory for Arsenal over Leicester City, but the result I thought was more flattering than the actual game, because Arsenal led that game by 2-0, and somehow, in an act of complacency, let Leicester City back into the game, and Leicester scored 2 goals there. And it wasn't until very late on in the game that Arsenal did recover themselves up to, to win that game by 4-2. So it wasn't pretty what we saw in that particular fixture as far as things go for me. So that's why I do say it's not going to be an easy fixture for Arsenal, given the injuries that they do have and everything that is revolving around the club. Of course, they do think that they still have a chance to compete for the Premier League title, but with all those injuries, especially in the forward lines, where they were already limited on numbers, I don't think it does help them that much. But as far as the last 5 meetings go, Arsenal has dominated this particular fixture, winning all of them. 4-2, like I said, 1-0, that is in February 2023, and then again winning it 4-2 in August 2022, and then the other fixtures, Arsenal winning them by 2-0 apiece as far as history goes. Leicester themselves are not in very decent form when you look at the form table, because they've only won one of their last Premier League fixtures, and that was their 2-1 victory against Tottenham Hotspurs. All the others have been losses to Everton, to Fulham, Crystal Palace, and Aston Villa. While Arsenal, on the other hand, have had a bit of stability, winning 3 out of their last 5 and going the other 2, including that last emphatic victory against Manchester City, which they did beat them by 5-1 before going away for that small mid-season break for the training camp that they did have in Dubai, where Kai Havertz did suffer that injury form. And then before Man City, they had beaten up against Wolverhampton Wanderers in another controversial result, given the red card that had been dished out to Miles Lewis-Skelly in a 1-0 victory. Ricardo Carafiori on target there for them against Wolves, shared the spoils with Aston Villa in a 2-2 draw, beat up against Spurs by 2-1, while also did share the spoils with Brighton and Hove Albion in a 1-1 draw previously. So those are some of the things that you do expect coming up in that particular fixture. If you to trust me, I do think Arsenal will find a way to win this particular fixture, bearing in mind what they have to contend with very soon going forward. They do have a fixture coming very soon up against Nottingham Forest. That won't be an easy one among many others. Not to say that this one is any easy in itself, but I do give Arsenal a chance. But remember, early kickoffs are always tricky, not just for the small teams, but usually for the big teams as well. But I do foresee Arsenal to at least get a 2-1 victory over Leicester City this weekend or this afternoon on Saturday. And then the other important picture, like I did mention, Fulham against Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest did lose to AFC Bournemouth by 5 goals to 0, and then responded emphatically with that uh, 7-0 victory. Was it against Southampton? I stand to be corrected on that one because it was. I did think it was a very very entertaining fixture. Sorry about that. It was against Brighton, not Southampton, and we were all surprised, not by the result, but by who the result was against. I mean, Brighton, not a team that gets usually beat by that kind of margin. So when you look at the fixture in itself between these two teams, of course, Fulham have dominated the affairs of this result, winning at least, I think, 4 of the last 5, while Nottingham Forest have beaten them once. It's been 1 victory, if I remember correctly, and then so that kind of thing. So it's a fixture that Fulham have dominated, but yet again, I get the feeling that it comes at a time when Nottingham Forest find themselves in a different headspace. After that emphatic 7-0 victory against Brighton and Hove Albion, which they did recover from very well, Brighton on the other side. We've spoken about their results. But anyway, Fulham on the other side do not have it so good. They've won 2 in the last 5, lost 2 and drawn 1. The most recent being a 2-1 victory against Newcastle, while they did lose to Man United by 4-0, beat up against Leicester City by 2 goals to 0, while it was a 3-2 loss against West Ham that they did suffer, and then shared the spoils with Ipswich Town in a 2-2 draw. On the side of Nottingham Forest, 3 wins and 1 draw, as well as 1 loss in their last 5. We talked about the victory against Brighton. We talked about the loss against FC Bournemouth, while the other, they did beat up against Southampton by 3 goals to 2, did share the spoils with Liverpool in a 1-1 draw, and also thrashed Wolves or Wolverhampton Wanderers by 3 goals to 0. So another emphatic victory that was for Nuno Espirito Santo's side. When you look at the two sides, they have the potential to cancel themselves out. Alex will be on the other side, Raul Jimenez, Wilson, and then Bernard Leno in goal, Calvin Bassey in that defense of Fulham. You're looking at a team that is capable of hurting this Nottingham Forest side. But Nottingham Forest also have a Chris Wood on form, been very brilliant this season. They do have a Morgan Gibbs-White, very decent player there. Anthony Ilanga providing the assist there. Carl Hudson-Odoi, the goalkeeper. But sorry, so it's really brilliant to watch a team. And in terms of squad, I get the feeling that they've had a decent squad to compete, and no wonder they're in the top 4, up there competing with the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. That's for Nottingham Forest. Anyway, the other fixture that I do want us to look at briefly is that tie between Newcastle and Man City. Man City coming into this fixture on the back of a 3-2 loss to Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League in playoff stages there to determine who advances to the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. So the meeting in itself does come a little too early for Newcastle. Maybe not, but you would think Newcastle are the fresher side, having rested through midweek to recover from that 2-1 loss that they did suffer against Fulham last weekend, while Man City have suffered 2 losses on the spin, and yet they did play on the weekend, played the midweek. So clearly, you think that they'll have a bit of heavy bodies going into this particular fixture. So again, we are waiting to see how that all plays out. You let me know what your predictions are for this particular fixture. Of course, the fixture in itself does come at a time when Manchester City have suffered, serious injuries to the likes of Manela Kanji and these are players that Manela Kanji will definitely miss this particular fixture. Of course, Lodwell is absent. Nathan Aki, Jeremy Doku, Oscar Bob, Ederson Moraes, Nico Gonzalez, and Jack Grealish are doubtful for this particular fixture. That notwithstanding, Newcastle themselves have had their struggles with injuries through this season. Of course, Jamal Lascelles, Harvey Barnes, Steven Botman, Dan Ban, Jolinton, we all know about those injury troubles. That notwithstanding, as far as the last 5 meetings between the two sides go, when they met the first time this season, the two sides did share the spoils in a 1-1 draw, that is at St. James's Park, while Man City has dominated the other 3 results. So that 2 draws in the last 5 meetings between themselves, and then 3 victories for Man City, beating them by 2-0, 1-0, that is, and then a 3-2 victory. That is last season. Last season, Man City beat them home and away, while the season before that, Man City beat them at the Etihad and they shared the spoils in a 3-3 draw at St. James's Park. So, if Ed Howe ever wants to beat Man City, now is the time to do it, because he does have the players to go and beat up against this fragile Man City of this season. You do have Alexander Isak, who has 17 goals to his tally, trying to outcompete Brad Erling Haaland, who has a tally of 19 goals so far this season. And then you do have Anthony Gordon, very decent player, was on target as they beat up against Arsenal. And then you do have the likes of Joe Willock, you do have Bruno Guimaraes in that midfield. You have a Jacob Murphy who did score against Arsenal. Fabian Schär in that defense, Nick Pope in that goal. They have a fairly decent squad for me to go and compete or even beat up against this Man City side. And they do know how to play against teams that want to dominate possession. We saw them frustrate Arsenal. Again, despite Arsenal dominating possession, they do know how to close those spaces really well, and I think they can implement or replicate the same strategy that they had against Arsenal and get a very decent result against this Man City side. So, what's my prediction for this particular fixture? I'd say a draw, but I'm inclined to see a Newcastle win. Although Newcastle, they've lacked that consistency in some parts of the season. For example, in the last 5, they've won 3, they've lost 2, losing to Fulham and then losing to Bournemouth by 4 goals to 1. While the other results have been wins against Spurs, Wolves, and Southampton. Then Man City, on the other side, in the last 5, they had garnered some bit of consistency, being unbeaten in the previous 5 fixtures before meeting Arsenal. So, but after that Arsenal result, of course, it is 1 loss in the last 5, 1 draw. The draw coming up against Brentford in the 2-2 draw, while the other victories, including thrashing Ipswich Town by 6-0, beating up against West Ham by 4-1, while they thumped Chelsea by 3 goals to 1. Now, for a Man City team that managed to beat up against Chelsea, you sort of think that they do have quite the athleticism, they do have quite the tools to go ahead and beat up against the Newcastle side, because you have Mantel Kovacic, you have Bernardo Silva, you have Ilkay Gundogan, you have Kevin De Bruyne, you have Savinho, you do have Mamouche, and all these other players in that midfield and for attacking lines. Phil Foden, for whom 7 goals to his tally, despite having a very bad first half of the season, things had started clicking for him and that kind of thing. So whether Ederson Moraes is absent, you do have Stefan Ortega on the other side. Ederson Moraes, of course, has been in and out of the team during the course of this season. That's at the choice of Pep Guardiola. That's how he's preferred to do it. Anyways, do let me know what your predictions are for this particular fixture, Manchester City versus Newcastle. Just put your prediction down in the comment section for those that are for those that are following us live, and for those of you that will catch this episode much later on in the course of the day or the course of the weekend. So those are the fixtures that I wanted us to sort of shed more light on. As far as Saturday fixtures go, of course, the other Southampton against Bournemouth, I do expect Bournemouth to go ahead and win that one by maybe 3-0. West Ham against Brentford, it's a difficult one. Manager Graham Potter has not had a very decent start to life at the London Stadium, but you do hope that he can pick a draw in this particular one. And then Crystal Palace against Everton, things are clicking in place for David Moyes, including forcing Liverpool into a draw, a 2-2 draw on Wednesday night in the last Merseyside derby at the current Goodson Park, because they will be leaving that stadium at the end of the season to start life at a new stadium. So, bearing in mind that Crystal Palace do not play very well at home, that is at Selhurst Park, you do think that I fancy, for some reason, I fancy Everton to go ahead and nick a result, maybe 1-0 or a 2-0 victory at Goodson Park, at Selhurst Park, where Crystal Palace do not fancy themselves so much. While Crystal Palace are very good off away, that's on the word, including beating up against Man United recently by 2-0 at Old Trafford. Back at home, usually they do not reciprocate those performances on home soil. So that is why I'm inclined to say that that Everton do have they could have the upper hand coming into the fixture as Oliver Glasgow prepares inside to face off with David Moyes. And then on Super Sunday, Liverpool up against Wolverhampton Wanderers at Anfield. Like we did speak briefly, Liverpool will be looking or eager to bounce back from that 2-2 draw, and all the shenanigans that did rotate around the game in itself. After the blow of the final whistle, Liverpool, Arne Slot, and his assistant, as well as Everton, have all been charged by the FA for the scenes that we did witness after the blow. The final whistle, we did speak about that pretty much. For those of you that you missed that episode, it's there on the channel, titled Everton Was Robbed. Abdoulaye Diakore went over to celebrate in front of the Liverpool fans. Cat Jones wasn't happy about that. He wants to go and stop him from doing that. They end up shoving each other, pulling, shots and all that kind of things. Two Everton players wants the scene to try and separate them. Stewards and involved and all that kind of thing. Michael Oliver ends up dishing 3 red cards, one to Arne Slot, another to Abdoulaye Diakore, and another to Cat Jones in the aftermath of that game. I did see Arne Slot speaking about that incident and saying that if time would be reversed, he would have done differently or behaved differently from the way he did behave on that particular day. But it is what it is. For me, I really don't have much against everything that did happen on that day. But the fans, coming onto the turf when James Tarkowski scored that equalizer. But again, it's the adrenaline, the emotion of football, the passion, the ability for fans, for players, for stewards, for whoever cares about football to enjoy that moment. That's why I was saying that that I'm sure, as much as Liverpool fans were not happy with some of the things that did happen on the day, a part of them does understand what that meant. The result in itself, the caliber of the game, what the stakes were as far as Everton go, because it was their final derby game at Goodson Park and that kind of thing. So, of course, they denied a free kick to Mo Salah. The extra time, of course, at the time was 5 minutes, but we saw that game going to north of 99 minutes. So Liverpool fans were not happy with that, but we did discuss all those things in that particular video. So do catch it on the channel. And if you're new, do not forget to hit that subscription button. Anyway, so I do think that Liverpool will be hoping to bounce back from that draw and return to winning ways as they look to extend their gap between themselves and Arsenal. Now, should Arsenal win against Leicester City on Saturday, they would have closed that gap down to 4 points from the current 7 points. So that means it would sort of mount a bit of pressure on Liverpool to try and maintain that gap. Should Arsenal go ahead and win? If Arsenal fail to win against Leicester City, then Liverpool will also be eager to further extend that 7-point lead to 10 points. So, and with Chelsea having lost, waiting for a result between Nottingham Forest and Fulham, anything can happen. So Liverpool will have everything to delight in having known those results. If those results go Arsenal and Nottingham Forest's way, then Liverpool will be a bit under more pressure to win. And if still they do not go any of those sides' way, they will be eager to further extend their gap. And then Man United versus Spurs. This is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. At the first leg, we all do remember Tottenham thrashing Manchester United by 3-0. In that game that saw Bruno Fernandes be issued with a red card, I'm sure Manchester United will have those memories fresh in their minds. Both sides are struggling. Both managers in Arne Slot for Tottenham, Ruben Amorim for Manchester United, are trying to think of things, are trying to get things right, but things are not really clicking for them. So we're looking at two managers that do find themselves in less ideal situations coming into this particular fixture. And to be honest, there's not much to look forward to as far as this particular fixture goes for history's sake. The very long history is whenever Sir Alex Ferguson met Harry Redknapp or any other Tottenham manager during his many years at Manchester United, it was more or less a walk in the park. But now we cannot sit here and say it is going to be a walk in the park. A few years gone by, Pochettino had started to give United headache. We saw Antonio Conte give Manchester United headache, and then Arne Slot himself. So it's not the kind of fixture that it used to be, or we cannot take it to on the merits that it used to have. We have to look at it in today's context. Tottenham struggling with so many injuries across the season, and yeah, he does say that it's hard. That's Ange Postecoglou. He also did speak about Ruben Amorim, and he says anybody that thinks that he can change things in any time under 2 years is living in an alternate universe. But anyways, do let me know what your thoughts are on those fixtures, what your predictions are, who you think will win on the day, who you want to win, what your expectations are coming into these fixtures. Of course, when you look at the last 5 results between United and Spurs, like we said, Spurs winning 3-0. There was a 2-2 draw last season, and then Spurs winning the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium by 2-0 last season, and then last season but won a 2-2 draw for Spurs again at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and a 2-0 victory for United. So that means there've been 2 draws, 2 wins for Spurs, and 1 win for Manchester United in the last 5. When you look at the form table, both sides are struggling, although Spurs have had it worse, recording just 1 win in the last 5, all the others being losses. Beating up against Brentford by 2-0, that was last weekend, and then of course losing to Leicester by 2-1, losing to Everton by 3-2, losing to Arsenal by 2-1, losing to Newcastle by 2-1, and then United on the other side losing to Crystal Palace by 2-0 last weekend. So they will be looking to bounce back from that bad result, but they did beat up against Fulham in one of their last 5 fixtures, did lose to Brighton by 3-1, did beat up against Southampton by 3-1. Again, that victory against Southampton was another flattering result, I did think to myself, for United, because Southampton dominated affairs for 80 minutes, and then Amadou Diallo somehow manages to corner out a hat-trick in the final 10 minutes of the game, and they win it 3-1. And then the 2-2 draw against Liverpool. So that, as far as recent form goes, both sides are in the bottom half of the table. United are 13, Spurs are 14. So, like I said, the fixture does come at a very different time as we've come, compared to what we've come to know of it historically. Anyways, do let me know what your predictions are. My gut feeling thinks that it could end in a draw. But do not take my word for it. Tell me what your prediction is for this particular fixture. If you're new, kindly hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you can be notified whenever we do publish an episode. Otherwise, allow me to keep it here or leave it here, and I wish you the best, wonderful rest of the weekend. Stay blessed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.